Okay, so good day everyone. So today we are going to discuss a particular topic regarding this what we call the looping, looping statements. Okay, so looping statements, these are actually used in the program in order for us to lessen the code. It refers to the number of iterations or repetitions that you can do um, instead of creating a number of repetitions using a simple C in or C out. So by just doing a looping, you can reduce your code into a much lesser code. At the same time, the functionality will just be the same. Okay, and also the number of looping is not limited to how many number of iterations you're going to make. Say for example, if you're going to have a number of iterations that is a 100, so if you're going to do a number of repetitions using a simple C out C in, so meaning you're going to have 100 C out codes or 100 C in codes. Okay, so 100 ka C in, 100 ka C out. That will be the case. But in looping, you're only going to use one C out and one C in, to repeat 100 times, of display, or let us say 100 times input. Okay, so that's the power of looping. And remember also that looping statement was already used by Ada Byron during his or her programming in the analytic engine that is designed by Charles Babbage. Okay, I mentioned last time in our previous discussion that Ada Byron uses number one, he uses iteration, okay, or the looping statement as we call it today, and he also uses conditional statements, okay, in her program, and she also uses the what we call this one functions, okay. So functions. After this, we're going to discuss functions. So what there are different types of looping statement, okay. So the same thing with conditional statement. So we have also different types of looping statement. So first we have the for loop, then we have the do while loop, okay. The third one is we have the while loop, okay. Then the fourth one we have the of course we have the what we call the nested loop, okay, a loop within the loop. So in the conditional statement, we have also this what we call conditional nested condition, or a condition within a condition. But we have also this what we call the nested loop. So that is a loop within the loop. Okay. Now, let's go to the syntax. Okay, syntax. So for number one, you have for loop. Okay, for loop. So what will now be the syntax of the for loop? Okay, so this will be the syntax now. So you have for, okay. Then we have this what we call initialization. Initialization, mali. So this is okay. Initialization, and then followed by this will be a semicolon, followed by a condition, and then followed by the updater, okay. So updater could be an increment or it could be a decrement, and then we have a statement inside, okay, statements, and then we have a close brace, okay. So this is now the syntax or the general form of the for loops. Well, how about the example? So example, okay, so you have for, say for example, x is equals to 0. This is the initialization part. Then we have also condition, say for example, if x is what? Less than or equal to 5, for example. So if that will be less than or equal to 5, what we're going to do? We're going to increment your x, okay? And say your statement will be C out, okay, x, okay. We're going to display the value of your x. So this is an example. So take note here, x is equals to 0. This is the initialization part. Okay? And then x is less than or equal to 5. So 0 is less than or equal to 5. So what we're going to do, we're going to increment the value. Now sometimes if it happens that if your x your condition here will be x is greater than or equal to 5, so what will happen? It will cause a logical error. Why? It's because take note that your x is equal to 0. So it never happens that your 0 is greater than or equal to 5. So what will happen? This will cause a logical error in which you can see the output that it will be different. Okay? So ang mahitabuan na the output will be a repetition. Okay? Dili siya mo exit, di siya mo stop. Kasi wala man siya condition nga, it will never na mahimong greater than or equal to 5 ang 0. Okay? So mali ang imuhang condition. So what will happen there? Magkaroon ka og logical error. So you will see that later on in the programming part na. And then this will be the statement wherein we're going to display na the value of your x. So what will happen here if we're going to consider this program? So ang output ani will be, it will display 0, it will display 1, kasi i-increment nimo siya. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 until 5. Okay? It will display value 0 to 5. Okay, because ang condition nato is equal to 5. So if the condition will be 0 less than 5 lang, so meaning it will not reach 5, but it will just display from 0 to 4. Kasi less than 5 dapat, less than 5 ang condition, meaning the value should be less than 5. So the maximum value wherein before it reaches 5 is 4. So therefore 4 will be the greatest value that the program will display. Okay? So, but if you're going to put an equal sign there, so meaning it will display until 5. Okay, so the display value will be from 0 to 5. Now, by the way, before I forget, what will be the equivalent flowchart for this one? Okay, so I will just erase this one. Okay, so this will be an introduction to looping statement, but later on we're going to have to discuss each one. For loops with the do while loops, the while loop, and the nested loop. Okay, for the flowchart, okay, so flowchart, so for the flowchart for this one, so take note that the first one is initialization. So therefore what we're going to do, we initialize the same thing, what we have done in our previous discussion, that we need to initialize the value. So x will be equal to 0, and that is integer. Okay, and next we're going to have a condition. Okay, magkaroon ta condition that will be x is less than or equal to 5. Okay, wait na lang. So example mo akong gibuhat, so wait na lang ha. I will just change this one. We will base our flowchart dili kani. Okay, dili sa example. Okay, so let me repeat again. The flowchart will be what? Initialization. Okay, init. And then followed by what? Condition. Okay, condition. And then the equation is true. If that is true, therefore what we're going to do, we are going to process. Okay, update. Update, it refers to whether you are going to increment the value or you are going to what? Decrement the value. Then after that, you have the statement. Okay? Wait lang. First, ang statement pa di ay mo-display sa ang statement before siya So, display first the statement. Mauna ang statement before ang update. Okay? Update. Kasi, what will happen here, for example, in the example, so the first value nga magawas diri is 0. In our example, so i-display man niya ang 0, so meaning, wala pa niya i-update ang 0. I-display sa niyang 0 After displaying 0, sa kanya i-increment. So, maghimo na siyang 0 plus 1. Okay? So, that means na mauna ang statement before ang update. So, statement first, update. After updating, so what will happen? It will just go to what? Exit. Okay? Exit lang siya. Exit. Okay. Exit sa loop. Now, here, if the condition is false here, so what will happen? If the condition is false, it will just go to what? Exit. Exit lang siya sa loop. Okay? But if that is true, it will first do the statement and then update and then exit. After performing everything. No, wait. Mali pa ay. After sa update, kasi looping din siya, no? Okay. After sa update, let me just erase this one na balik ko. After sa update, mubalik siya diri sa wait lang, diri. Okay? Kasi what will happen here? Okay, explain ako. So, diri nahitabo ang nga tawag nato nga looping. Okay? Diya mag-loop. Take note in our given example, then saka pa siya ma-exit. It will only exit if the condition will be false. Okay? Exit. So, let us tawag ani. Look at the example here. So, here, take note for initialization condition. So, if the condition is true, it will display, for example, here. So, display niya ang first display will be 1. Diba? If this will be the output, sample output, so display siya diha og example 1. Okay? 0 pa day 0, kay initial value may 0. So, 0. After that, what will happen is, so 0 ang value karon, pag-abot sa updater, iyang gi-increment og 1, so therefore may mo siyang 1. So, pag-abot na po niya karon diri, iya pang i-test, is x which is 1 less than or equal to 5? So, is 1 less than or equal to 5? True or false? So, that is true. Pag true na statement, so meaning display na po niya ang 1. Okay? Display niya ang 1. Then, after that, ang 1, increment na po niya, may mo na po siyang 2. Okay? Check na po niya ang condition karon. Is 2 greater or less than or equal to 5? So, that is true. So, therefore, since true, mag-siyag display. Every time true pa ang condition, so display niya up to what? 5, di ba? Kasi 5 man tataman. Is 5 less than or equal to 5? That is true. So, therefore, display niya ang 5. After that, balik na po siya diha. So, increment niya yung 5, may mo ng 6. Okay, balik siya diha. Pag-abot karon diri sa condition, is 6 greater or less than or equal to 5? So, sa word plan than less than, that is already false, di ba? 6 is less than equal to 5, true or false? So, false. So, pag false siya, exit. Okay? So, in looping, the only way to exit is when the condition is false. If the condition is true, it will always what? Iterate. It will always loop. Okay? Take note kaniya na from 0, sige siya balik-balik, hantod na false ang iyahang condition. Okay? So, ingana na siya dito sa nga tawag na to nga for loops. Okay? So, take note here sa looping statement, we are talking about the number of iterations or repetitions. We call that one as loop. Okay? So, we have here a for loop. Okay? Number 1, for loop. For din siya. For loop. The syntax is this one. Take note, this is the syntax. Okay? Dili ni mao ang syntax. This is an example. Example lang ni siya. Mo ni ang syntax, mo ni ang example. Okay? So, you see the difference between the syntax and the example. Pag example gani class, it has already a value. Initialization could have so many values. Initialization could have 1 or 2 values that you can initialize or variables that you can initialize. You can also have 2 conditions. You can also have 2 updaters, whether you increment it or decrement it. Okay? So, but this is the syntax, meaning mo gini ang iyahang syntax. Okay? And each part will be separated by what? A semicolon. Okay? Separated siya by semicolon. Now, if you are going to have two initialization part here, like for example, for x is equals to 0 and y is equals to 0. So therefore, duha imong initialization. So what you're going to do, if you have two initialization, what you're going to do, you're just going to separate it with comma. Okay? Kung nakay duha ka initialization. For x is 0 and then y is equals to 0 and then, okay, separated by semicolon. Because you can have two initialization value, if you have two condition, you can also have two updaters. Okay? So, take note that each part will be separated by semicolon. And each part, if they have two initialization, two condition, two updaters, so each will be separated by a comma. Okay? So, ano lang siya. So, that is what we are going, that is the example of a for loop, looping statement. Okay? So, for the example program, I'm going to have a separate video for the example program for looping. But what we're going to do here is just, I'm going to introduce to you the syntax of the different and the flowchart of the looping statements. Okay? So, next we have, okay, let me erase this one first. So, the next is, we're going to have a do while. Okay? Or let's have the while first, no? So, for the do while, okay, yung kanina do while man to, no? So, do while, okay, for the do while loop, okay, so this will be the syntax. Okay, so do, and then you have this one brace, yes, while, okay, statements, okay, statements, and then close, and then while, and then after that is we have the condition. Okay, so muna siya sa do while. So for the flowchart, okay, for the flowchart, so you have do. Now take note here in the statement, you need to have an initialization part. So we always start with initialization here. Actually, there should be initialization here on top. Okay, napana initialization. So say for example, you are going to what? Initialize, and then next to that is you are going to have the statement. Okay, statement, okay, statements. After doing the statement, what you're going to do is you're going to have a what? Condition. Okay, condition. So if the condition is true, okay, it will go back to initialization. Magbalik-balik na siya diha. If the condition is false, then you're going to exit the loop. Okay, exit the loop. So here, if you're going to look at this, it will perform first the statement before it will check the condition. Okay? Sige lang, maghatag lang ko example program for this one. So, what will happen here? Asang looping diri? Obviously, the looping will be in this part here. Okay? This is where looping happens. So, as long as the condition is true, so what will happen? It will keep on repeating, no? Performing the statement. Okay? Mag-loop na siya banda dire. So, once the condition is false, automatic mo, exit siya. Okay? So, this is now the flowchart of do while. This is now the syntax of the do while. Okay? So, manang syntax. Sige lang, later na ako example So, next, because this is just only introductory to the looping statement in which I'm just going to discuss to you the syntax and the flowchart of the looping statements. So, next we have the do while. Okay? Do while. So what's the difference? Now you will see now the difference between do while and while. Okay. Okay. So for while, okay, while loop, this will be the third one. Okay, while loop. So what will now be the syntax? So the syntax will be while, of course, and then condition, and then we have the brace, and then statements, and then close. Okay? So, mo na lang iyang syntax. So, ang iyang flowchart, the flowchart now will be, of course, as I've said, naging na initialization sa taas. Okay? Na initialization sa taas. So, initialize, and then after that is, we are going to have a condition. Okay, condition. Now, if the condition is true, okay, therefore it will all perform the what? Statement. Okay, it will perform the statements. If the condition is false, it will just what? Exit, obviously. Okay, this will not exit the program, but this will exit in the looping statement. Now here, if the condition is true, it will perform the statement. Actually, class na pa ni siya, makamamali day ko, no? Ingana lang na siya, pero in reality, na siya updater actually. Okay? Napanay updater dire because usually our initialize will be updater na siya. Okay, updater. Saka pa na siya ang updater ha part of the statements. Appeal na sa statements ang updater. Okay? So, muna siya. What will happen here is after ma-update me ang value, magsige na po na siya balik-balik diya. So, diha may tabo ang looping. So, once the condition is false, saka pa sa ma-exit sa imuhang loop. Okay? So, that is now the syntax and the flowchart of this what we call the while loop. Okay? Now, the last one, the fourth one, we have this what we call the nested. Okay? The nested loop. So, kani siya medyo siya complicated sa tanang loop. Okay, so the fourth one will be the nested loop. So, nested loop, this means that it is a loop within the loop. Okay? In a nested loop, it's up to you whether you're going to use the while loop, the do while loop, or the for loop. It's up to you to use any of those looping statements. So, what will now be the syntax? So, example, if we are going to use a for loop, example lang for loop. So, this will be the syntax. So, for, this should be initialization. Or you can have also a combination of any, of the loops. Like, for example, okay, for, and then you have initialization. I will just abbreviate this one. Then you have a condition, and then you have the updater. Okay, yeah, say for example you have while, okay, condition, and then you have here a statements, and then close. Okay, so I'm using two different types of loops, the for loop and the while loop. The point here is that you have a nested loop because you have a loop. Okay, this loop is inside this loop. Okay, so what will now be the flow chart? Okay, so for the flow chart, so again, we always have the initialization in it. Okay, initialization part, and then next we have the condition. Okay, we have the condition for loop. Okay, if the condition is true, okay, if the condition is true, what will happen? It will check first the condition of the while loop. Okay, kani nga condition, Butang to condition 1, condition 2. So kani condition 1, okay, this is 1 and this is 2. So if the condition is true, condition 3 is true, therefore it will check for the while loop. I-check niya karon condition 2 sa while loop. Now if this is true, it will perform now the what we call the statement. Okay? It will perform the statement. Then after that, balik siya diri kang kani. Okay? Balik siya diha. Okay, balik siya diha. This is now the while loop. Okay, kani nga loop. While loop na siya. Now, if the condition here is false, what it is going to do is update. Update. Kaning update, this refers to this one. Kaning updater. Okay? And then, after that, it will go to, asa man siya maadto? Dere. Balik siya diha. Sa initialization. Okay? Balik siya sa initialization. So, kaning nga part, muna siya ang loop sa what? 4. So, mag-looping na siya diha. Nanay looping may tabo diha. Every time mag-false, i-update niya. Then, pag true na po, kaya na po yung perform. Magbalik-balik na po na diha. Pag ma-false na diha, exit siya. Then, balik na po siya diha. Okay? Magbalik-balik na siya. So, hantod nga kani siya ma-false. Okay? Pag false na siya, saka pa siya mo exit. Okay? So, ma-exit lang ang loop, overall loop, pag ma-false na ang condition 3. This is the for loop condition. This is the while loop condition. So, sa while loop, mag-save na siya loop diha. Okay? Pag ma-false siya, exit siya, i-update niya ang for loop, balik na po siya diha, then check na po niya condition. If true, kanina po, check na po condition. Pag true, balik na siya. Okay? Sige na siya routine. Na. Until, pag abuti sa for loop na condition, if this will be false, saka pa siya ma-exit. So, this exit will totally exit in the entire looping state scenario. Okay? So, diri karon mo-exit kaya siya totally sa loop. So, this is called the nested loop, syntax of the nested loop. Then, the nested loop could be a combination of a for loop, while loop, or do while, or it could be, pwede po do while, for, or do while. Depende, no? Basta, the concept there is that there is a loop inside a loop. That's the concept of nested loop. Okay? So, I have already presented to you the different types of nested loop together with the syntaxes and also together with their flowchart, the equivalent flowchart. So, next video will be the presentation of the different programming scenarios of the using different types of loops. Okay, so we'll start with the for loop, then followed by the while loop, do while, and of course the nested loop. Well, by the way, during your practical exam, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you a tawag ani kanang, you can use any looping statement. You can use while loop, you can use for loop, you can use do while, you can use a nested loop. Depends, no? If I say you're required to have a looping statement in your program, then you should also do a looping statement. But with regards to a particular specific looping statement, so usually I did not require you to use a specific, but it's up to you to use either of the 3 looping statements. Okay? But I seldom require students to use this particular type of loop. So it's up to you to make use of the 3 different types of loops. Okay? Now, by the way, I'm going to give you a practical exam this coming Friday. So, what you're going to do is, I'm going to give you 1 hour, and then I'm going to give you a problem. Okay, the same thing with your practical exam last time. But this time will be a ano siya, kanang actual video na gid siya. So, what you're going to do, you're going to create a Google Meet account using your UMindanao. Okay, don't forget, you're going to use the UMindanao account because if you're going to use the UMindanao account, you can record, no? You can record the Google Meet. Okay, pwede ta mag-record. So, you're going to use your UMindanao account, then create ka og calendar. And then, during our time, okay, kung sa tuwang oras, iset na siya diha, I will just give instruction later on sa LMS, and then I'm going to give you a problem, and then you're going to create a source code using your DevC, mag-type, mag-programming mo. And then after that, you're going to record the screen, entire screen. Okay, nga makita na kung nag-program mo. Then after your exam, so kung mahuman mo less than 30 or less than 1 hour, so just stop the recording and then send to me the link of your Google Meet. Okay, para di na mo mag-upload sa video. Ang link lang ang i-send sa kuha. Okay, sa inyong Google Meet. Then of course, i-allow ko nga mo access, i-add ko sa inyong Google Meet kaya para ma-open ako ang inyong video nga ga-record sa Google Meet. Okay? So, muna ato ang buhaton sa practical exam. So, because next week, you're going to have a practical exam. So, this coming Friday, what we're going to do is we're going to have a dry run for the practical exam wherein you're going to record your practical exam using the Google Meet account or using your Mindanao account through Google Meet. Okay? So, kato ng Google Meet ang i-send sa kuha. Okay? So, that's it. Care for further queries or clarifications, questions, so kindly post in our LMS. Okay? So, thank you everyone. So, I am going to have a follow-up on this regarding the different examples of the different looping statements. Okay? So, have a good day and God bless everyone.